Hello there, planner friends. Welcome back to my channel, and for those of you that are new, welcome to my channel. I thought I would share with you a little flip through of the month of March and the Pocket Plus Plus, as I'm calling it, rings that I did, and then what I've got set up for April. You'll see that I've got two planners here, and that's simply because I have in the Gillio the March pages kind of as a repository, and then the April is in the Spek, which is what I'm actively using right now. So let's dive in a little bit and we'll talk about what I have learned in the first month of using pocket planners, and what I like, what I don't like, and what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of months. First of all, let's start out with looking at what I did in March. If you have been following my channel for a while, you'll know that all of this started with an experiment to see what I could do with moleskin pages that I tore out of a moleskin and punched to put in here, which is where the Pocket Plus Plus came from, because moleskin pages are 3.5 by 5.5, which is a 1/2 inch taller than a Pocket Plus. So that's where I started the month of March, was working in these moleskin pages that I ripped out of the book. It was a weekly moleskin, and I actually ended up buying the daily as well, and trying this out for the first week or two of March just to see what I thought. So I started out actually not even having punched it. That's why you can see some of the stuff I wrote has been punched through, because I was just using it in the bound book. And I'm not a bound book girl, I'm a ring girl. So I very quickly realized that that wasn't going to work. I like the size, but I really wanted my rings. And so I punched these to go into rings. What I did not like about the moleskin paper was all of this wasted space at the top, and the fact that Saturdays and Sundays were combined into one, which to me, you could have started Monday here and had Saturday and Sunday and still had the same real estate. And I also, I'm not crazy about the paper. It's okay. It's better than the finickiness of Tomoe River paper, but to me, it feels like my pen drags on it a little bit. It has a little bit more toothiness than I'm accustomed to. But anyway, this is what I had printed, I had torn out, not printed out, torn out, and was using. And just the nice thing was everything was pre-dated, and I could just take it and run with it. Until I got the daily moleskin, I was just using some grid pages and kind of bullet journaling for the first couple of days just to see what I thought. And then I quickly realized that what I really wanted was my DIY fish inserts, that if you followed my channel for any period of time, you know this is my happy place. This is what I love. Doesn't matter what size, whether it's ring or bound or A5 or pocket, this is the layout that I prefer. So I very quickly moved right back into this and actually back planned the first 2 weeks of March that I had been using in the moleskin. So let's talk a little bit about how I set my month up. So the beginning of the month, I had this one good thing, which you can see quickly petered out at the end of March, just because I got so busy with work. We had a major product launch at the end of March, and I was just working so many hours that by the end of the day I was exhausted and not really interested in writing anything down I didn't have to. So this was one thing that went by the wayside. I didn't even set it up for April. I probably will just take a break until after my daughter graduates in May, and maybe I'll start it up again in June. But it was fun when I was doing it the first part of the year. It's just this time of the year, it's the end of the fiscal year for my work and the end of the school year for my daughter, and life gets really crazy busy. So anyway, here's my weekly layout, and I haven't really gone over this in a while, so I'll take a minute to just talk a little bit about how I use these pages. So I draw this line down the side here, and then this is where I put what we ate for dinner. I don't put what I'm planning for dinner. I put what we ate in retrospect, because I tend to change my mind at the last minute. And I'll show you what I'm doing in April around meal planning, because I'm trying something different that I actually kind of like. So I'll show you that. It was an adaptation when I downsized from personal and A6 to pocket, just another way to handle meal planning. Anyway, then over here is usually timed events, and then this would be either notable events, which 2 flat tires in 1 week, that's notable, or things that are a must do on a certain day, or when somebody's coming to the house or something like that. Then over here I list out my to-dos for the week, and I've been tracking what I'm reading and what I'm watching on TV. And then there's the ability to set up a tracker up here at the top. And so I had done that here where I was logging my meals and taking my dog for a walk and working with her. She was doing some training, so I was logging the days that I was doing that. This particular insert is then followed by daily pages, and I use these just like a bullet journal. So you'll see there's a very faint number here on the side, much like what you would see in a Hobonichi. And I just ignore that, and I just use this like a blank grid page. And the way I use it, let me go to a page where I've actually written something. Okay, so here's my weekly for the first full week of March, and you can see here I put my meals that I was planning down here in the corner, but you'll notice that some of those things didn't even happen, and that's why I don't write my plan here. I only write what we actually did. So here's how I do my days. This is a good way to show. So time specific stuff tends to go at the top. Then I just have a running list of to-do items, and then I put any notes for the day kind of in this middle section, and then down at the bottom I'll write what we had for dinner and what we watched on TV. And that's pretty much how I use the dailies every day. So I could just do it with a blank piece of grid paper like I did here. It would be very easy to do, but I really like having the dated pages because I can flip ahead and make note of important things if I need to. So you can see here there was a lot of stuff that I was making notes about on this particular day. So this is the first full week, and we were watching lots of movies. My daughter had her wisdom teeth out. So this is the next week, the middle of March. Didn't really do much different, same layout. This layout has worked consistently for me for many years, so I'm pretty happy with this layout, and I feel very functional and have not really had a problem with the pocket size. Now, what you're seeing here is mimicking the moleskin size, so this is A6 at 95%. And it was working great for the month of March. I liked the page layout size. I liked the grid. It was, a comfortable grid size for writing on. It was just working really, really well. What I didn't like was how this bumped up against the top, because it is exactly the same height as the leather binder itself. And so my tabs were sticking out of the top, and I felt like they were going to get banged up in my planner, or in when my purse was in my planner. So I'll show you what I did for April. I only did this size for March. So here's the thing that I changed up starting with this week of March. There's always in the DIY fish pages this blank that's the back of the week. And so I'm using that now as a place to do my meal planning and any things that I'm thinking about ahead of time that are pertaining to that week, notes wise, so that I can really concentrate my to-dos on this page. And I'm thinking that I may even move this reading and watching over here, and then that would just give me even more room for my to-dos. Although I have yet to run out of room for my to-dos, but I just feel like being in the smaller pocket size, I need to conserve the space. So just continuing to flip through, you can see it's just pretty much the same layout and the same use every week. And that's the end of March. So here is my March monthly in this size. And, just a tiny little bit of decoration in terms of the washi tape, color coding by family member, and just hitting the highlights. Here's my monthly task list for March. So on the beginning of the month page, I write down things, big projects that I want to get done in March, and check them off as I get them done. And then here is my tracker for the month of March. So I was tracking sleep, the number of hours of sleep, my mood, my energy, whether or not I took my vitamins, whether or not I had a migraine, whether or not I took migraine medicine, reaching out to my friends, and cooking at home. So still trying to be focused on cooking at home. You can see when I had a migraine, that wasn't happening. And then this is April, where I started using April, but this is when it started to get annoying to me that things were sticking out of the top. And so I made the decision last week at the beginning of April to really concentrate on getting to the Pocket Plus size, and that's what's in here, is the Pocket Plus size. And so most of my inserts, I was able to just cut the top or bottom off and get, did you like that sound effect? Get the extra 1/2 inch that I needed to get off. And in some cases I had to reprint, and one of those was the monthly, so I'll show you that, but I'll just do a quick flip here. So this is in the very front. It's always just a shopping list and notes in the front. And then something new that I have set up here is a to-do section. So these are some dividers. I'll tag the shop that I got these dividers from in the notes underneath this video, but I set up a to-do tab, and this is where I'm kind of running a master task list of things as I think about them that we want to get done. And these I'm trying to migrate then to the monthly. I've just got some note paper here, and then we go into a section called Plan Ahead, and this has got my long range planning. So holidays, a year at a glance. And then this is a Peanuts Planner Co. that I printed the A6 at 85%. And this was one that I did reprint. I did not just whack the top and bottom off because there just wasn't enough margins. And then I color code everything. So that's that. Then we go into the monthlies. I did have to reprint the monthlies because I just couldn't, I didn't have enough margin. Here in the monthly, you can see if I had cut a 1/2 inch off or 1/4 off the top and the bottom, I would have cut important things, and I just didn't want to do that. So I reprinted these and just wrote these things down again, not bothering with the washi tape and all that, just keeping it very functional. At some point, I'll go back in and fill in my trackers for the first 3 months so that I have it all in one place. I just haven't sat down to do that. I'll probably do it one night while we're watching a movie. I like to do those kind of things when we're watching movies. So here was February, and you can see I need to do that. Here's March, and here's where I back planned that. And then here's April, and I need to do my washi tape decorations, but this is my task list for the month of April. And our calendar for the month of April, this is another divider. This one is actually a cloth and paper divider that I cut down. So I ordered some dividers from a shop on Etsy, and I also ordered a set of dividers from Cloth and Paper, and then I ordered A6 dividers, and I cut these down. The ones I ordered off of Etsy, I actually ordered custom. And she was kind enough to make me custom ones, but I ordered some Cloth and Paper. The thing I like about these is they're very, very thin, which I really like because they don't take up a lot of space in your rings. But I also really like the Cloth and Paper dividers with the frosted look. So I'm using both. I've got the 3 Cloth and Paper ones for month, today, and week, because I wanted that today dashboard like I had in my personal NA6 rings. And then the other dividers, I had ordered a set of top and side tabs, and so that's what I'm using for everything else. So here's my month so far for April, and here's my tracker, which you can see I haven't filled out a whole lot because last week was spring break for my daughter, and so we were playing and I wasn't tracking. And here's the rest. I printed out through August. Just because as you can see, it's tight in these rings, and I was trying to avoid having a chunky planner. So at some point I will print out the rest of the year, but I just haven't done that yet. So the next section is the month of April. So this is my weeklies and my dailies. And I've got just some note paper here. And then this is for the end of March, beginning of April. Same exact layout that I do every month. And this is what I'm doing differently. This is the back of the week page. So now I'm doing my menu, and then I'm also making a note of YouTube videos that I wanted to do and listing them here. So this was last week. And here's this week. And here's another one of those cloth and paper dividers that I cut down. The other thing that I did with them is I slit the holes so it's very easy for me to move them from week to week or day to day, month to month. And you can't, I don't think you could do that with these others, that they're so thin. I'm not sure they would wear well in doing that. So the cloth and paper, that's one advantage to those. They're heavier. And then here's my today dashboard. And so this is the rest of the month, and I do plan ahead, but you'll see a lot of times I just do post-it notes for things, but I do write down things that I know the dates aren't going to be moving. The next section is my me section. So this, I was really lucky. I was able, most of it, to cut the top and bottom down to get it to that size that I needed. And you'll see I have a section here for social media, which is where I'm tracking my videos, my YouTube videos and my Instagram, health, and then we're planning a trip to Disney. That's actually under the family tab here, which I don't know if you can see it, but there's a family tab. So that's our Disney tracking, which I will show you what I did there, just because you might be curious about how I do all my planning for Disney in a spreadsheet. And so then I just printed the spreadsheet out and cut it and then folded it so that I could have it in here. And the same thing, this is a packing list that I'm starting, and that way I've got it with me and I can just add to it as I think of things. Then I've got things related to the house, tasks, things related to the kids. This red here, if you've seen one of my other videos, I cut down some regular notebook dividers to be the right size, and since my daughter's dorm furnishings is one of our top projects we're working on right now, I used a red one to indicate that one. And then the next section is my finance section, which I'm not going to show you, but those are Peanuts Planner Co. Bill pay pages. And then in the very back is notes. So it's just some note paper that I cut down from a notebook that had a nice grid that I liked, and the paper's fairly thin. And then this is a dashboard that I made that has just a bajillion bubbles, but I like the flowers, so I'm using it. This is a page lifter from Foxy Fix that someone very kindly sent me in a pocket that I purchased years ago, and that's just a pretty piece of washi that I didn't know what to do with. And then this was something else I wanted to show you. This is a pocket, zipper pocket, pocket size zipper pocket. That's a lot of pockets. That I ordered from Amazon from Moterm, and it came with a page marker, this pocket. It came with a slip-in, this little pocket here, you can see. And then it also had 2 page lifters, and I think it was like $6. It was really inexpensive. But the reason I ordered it was for this zipper pocket, because that was one thing that I missed in this Spek, was that it didn't have a zipper pocket. And I like to carry my stamps and a couple Band-Aids and sometimes a little bit of cash, and I wanted it in something that was zipped. So this works just perfect for that purpose. The other thing that I've added, as you use a planner, and you live in it for a while, you start to make it more and more functional. And I think that's the thing for me. I'm more about function over fancy. And so I've got some things in here, little bits to make it pretty, but I'm really not about all the, stickers and the fancy bits and the vellum layering and all that kind of stuff. I think it's beautiful. I love looking at it in other people's planner, but it makes me a little bit spastic when it's in mine, just because it's visually distracting from what I'm looking for. And I tend to be less inclined to use my planner when I have it in there. So I just try to be very minimalist. But what I did figure out is that another thing that I was missing was having my notepad that I could stick in my A6 and my personal rings. And I figured out that I could use this pocket, which this one is actually a Filofax pocket, and just slip some in the back of the pocket, and now I have my notepad. So that works really nicely and makes me very happy. I did buy a Sarasa Grand that matches this leather almost perfectly, which makes me really happy. So now I have this burgundy color to go with the Spek, and then I have the brown Sarasa Grand to go with the Gillio. And this one actually matches the gold and the gold. This is gold and silver, but I don't care about the mixed metal, so that doesn't bother me. So what else have I learned in the month and a half of using pocket rings? I thought I would title this video, It's the Little Things, because to me, that's really what I've learned, is that number one, I can use a little planner and be completely functional and have everything that I need, and be perfectly happy in my planning. What I have learned too is that you have to keep it simple if you're going to be in a pocket planner. Cull what you don't need, only keep what you're using every day and regularly, and use alternative places to store things that you don't need to access on a regular basis, because there's not a lot of room, especially when you're dealing with something that only has 20mm rings. There's just not a lot of extra space for you to have things in here just because it's nice to have. Like when our Disney trip is over, that's going out. It's only in here up until that point. And I'm only carrying the bare minimum back here in the back of what I need. As a matter of fact, if you look, the bulk of what I have in here is actually my monthly planning, and then some note paper in the back. The stuff that's, you know, the ongoing project stuff is very minimal. The other thing that I have learned is that for me anyway, the bullet journal style of planning works very well in my rings, and it makes me happy, and I think it goes along with function over fancy. That's just kind of my mantra for right now. And yeah, I'm very happy in this. I'm thinking about moving into the Gillio for a few weeks, but right now I'm just really enjoying this. And they don't look, this looks a lot smaller than the Spek, looks a lot smaller than the Gillio if you're looking at them, but I think it's an optical illusion, because when I stand them up, they're the same height and they're the same width. I think it's just because this is a little rounded because it's full, that it looks like it's smaller. But these are my lovelies. I'm very, very happy with them. And it's funny because I want to use them both at the same time, but obviously I'm a one planner girl, so I can't. So that's part of why I put my extra inserts in here, was just so I had some reason to use this. But yeah, that's it. That is a flip through March and a look at April. I have no plans of going anywhere right now. I'm very happy using this, and planning to continue to use this for the foreseeable future. So I've said that before, and it may change in the next month, but right now I don't have any plans to go anywhere. So I guess you'll just have to come back and watch the next video and see if that remains true. I hope that you guys are all doing well. Let me know in the comments, what are you using for April? And are you using the same thing you used in March, or are you moving on to something different? And are you a function over fancy person, or a fancy over function person? I suspect if you're following my channel, you're probably like me and you're more about function, but I'd be interested to know where your tendencies lie. Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and talk to you soon. Happy planning, everybody.